Hey, my name's Steve with Art of Tea, and today we're going to explore black teas and origins and the importance and really start to identify where all these different teas come from and how to really pick up those different nuances. So, topography and climate and location and soil conditions all play into different roles into really starting to understand and identify all the different teas.
Just go ahead and take that from the top.
Sure.
To really start to understand it.
Okay. So to really start to understand and how to qualify and quantify amazing black tea and where it's from, there's so many different factors that come into play here. So one is, what time of day was it harvested? What time of year was it harvested? How is it roasted? How is it baked? So in terms of black tea and the final output and the final product, one of the number one things that really comes into play is origin. So we're going to really start to look at when you get a Darjeeling tea or if you get a tea from Yunnan, what are some of the typical types of characteristics to look for? So we're going to go kind of top level. We'll get a little granular on some of these teas, but it'll give you guys a good understanding as far as at least how to impress your friends. Like, oh yeah, Darjeeling, I know what to look for in a Darjeeling compared to like a Sri Lankan type tea, so on and so forth. So let's start to explore that. So the first thing is there's several teas here. One is Himalayan Quest. It's a Nepalese tea. Is inspired by the Darjeeling tea productions. It's at a higher altitude, at a higher elevation than Darjeeling region. It's in Nepal. And what was happening was a lot of the people that were producing Darjeeling teas, they were going up in the fields, higher up in the mountains, and pulling some of those teas down and blending it in with Darjeeling. It's become a big problem. Another video that we'll discuss at another time. But one of the things that they found with this problem is the incredibly high quality teas that are starting to come out of Nepal. So we're very honored and very excited to be able to source some of these amazing teas. So our Nepalese Himalayan Quest, we'll be cupping that. Ancient Forest, this is a Yunnan black tea, and we'll describe some of the characteristics there. Darjeeling, this is a blend of a first and second flush Darjeeling from a Makabari estate. Keemun Maofeng. Keemun is less region specific. It's a type of tea. All Keemuns come out of China. There are some places that designate that they are known for producing Keemuns, but Keemun is, especially Keemun Maofeng, is one of the top 10 famous teas out of China. Lover's Leap. Lover's Leap is a signature tea from Sri Lanka. Assam Gold. Assam's from northern India, and Darjeeling's from northern India. What are the major differences between the two? It's pretty vast, it's pretty extreme, and look forward to sampling some of those with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour hot water over all these different teas, and I'll give you guys a good chance to look at the color, the infusion. We'll match the dry leaf and the wet leaf, compare some of the different nuances there, and then we'll start to dive in, get really granular on the different taste profiles that you'll be looking for. Wow, these are all black teas. Whenever someone says, I love black tea, I always smile because it's so diverse. There's so many different taste profiles when it comes to black teas. Now, granted, there's similar characteristics that you'll get from a black tea because all black teas are 100% oxidized and 100% cooked. So yes, you will definitely get consistent flavor profiles from one black tea to the next as far as basic characteristics, but it's the nuances, it's those high notes and those low notes and all the different fruity or malty or meaty or biscuity type notes that you'll get that really come into play based on the type of black tea. So if we take a look at some of the different color variances and leaf styles, when we're evaluating a tea, we smell the leaf, so we actually cup our hands around the leaf and we really pull in those aromatics. We look at the dry leaf, we look at the wet. So the first is the Himalayan Quest. Himalayan Quest or Nepalese teas are very bright, they're very muscatal. You'll find very similar notes with Nepalese teas and with Darjeeling teas, but with Darjeeling teas and Nepalese teas, I found that Nepalese teas are much more consistent. This is a political statement because Darjeelings are known as the champagne of teas, but I found that Nepalese teas, because they're younger gardens, they're less tapped and much less sought after because of all the promotion that's been done over the 40 plus years of Darjeeling production, that some Darjeelings can be very fickle, while the Nepalese teas are up and coming and they're here to stay. And so you'll find some really consistent flavor profiles, but very bright, very clean, very refreshing. So I'm going to be using my spoon, and since I'm the only one tasting, I'll be drawing it in. It's bright, it's puckery, and it's really refreshing. This also makes a phenomenal iced tea, an expensive iced tea, but it makes a phenomenal iced tea. The next is Ancient Forest. One of the things that you'll find is that there's some nice golden buds, some nice golden tips in the Ancient Forest. So this is a Yunnan black tea. So Yunnan's a very subtropical type area. So you'll find that the flavor notes are very musky, very earthy. I'd say it's predictable in the sense that you get this sweet molasses type undertone to it that to me I love. I can't get enough of Yunnan black teas, especially our Ancient Forest. It's affordable, it's organic, and it's just a dynamic tea. The color of Yunnan tends to be much darker. And because it's grown in close proximity to Assam, India, Yunnan and Assam pick from similar Camellia sinensis varietals. So you'll find that the flavor profiles of a Yunnan and a flavor profile of Assam are very similar. And we'll get to Assam's in just a bit. Darjeeling, our Darjeeling is, we look for consistency. So we look for something that's bright, that's brisk. The leaf size of a Darjeeling is very small because of the altitude. Darjeeling is a very exotic area, very extreme landscapes, high cliffs and low valleys. But based on the altitude, you'll find that the leaf is much smaller, the sugar content's more intact, and you get a really bright, like grape skin type taste to it. So the one thing that you want to prevent in a Darjeeling that you're looking for is Darjeelings can become stale very quickly. So you want to make sure that you don't get that cardboard type taste. So proper storage, and the Darjeeling is like a high-end car. It's in the shop a lot. But you got to make sure that you're finding the right source, you're finding a great quality Darjeeling, and part of that is that really bright, clean, refreshing grapeseed type note to it. Next is Keemun Malfang. Look at how long and gorgeous these leaves are. All very similar in size. The dry leaf itself also has lots of golden tips, lots of golden buds to it. Keemuns, I look for a dark color Keemun. I look for a really rich color Keemun. It's a bit more smoky on the profile. The wood that they're using in order to bake our Keemun Malfang is the same type of wood that they'll use for our Da Hong Pao. It's grown in the same region as Da Hong Pao, Wuishan Mountain. So the wood and the smoke doesn't actually impact the taste or the flavor, but it does go through the cooking elements and the heating elements, so you're able to pick up some of those very, very slight bourbon-y, smoky type notes. So the liqueur, it's darker, but it's still very clear, very clean. I also get notes of like toasted marshmallow and chestnut out of it as well. So these are things that I typically look for. In China, they call black teas red teas, and here's a clear reason why. If you look at the Yunnan and if you look at the Keemun, they both have more of a reddish tinge to it than some of the other black teas. Next is Lover's Leaf. This is a Sri Lankan tea. Look at the difference. You have a dark leaf with some green notes to it, and as soon as it's steeped, the leaves become very, very green. And you can see how the oxidization has played a role in sort of the brown edges along the outside of the leaf. But the leaf itself has almost got this like perfumey bergamot sort of flavor note to it. It's really bright, really clean. This is the brisk note that you often look for in a high quality black tea. The Lover's Leaf is a fairly high elevation, and the color makes the tea look very young and makes it look very bright and astringent. So again, with tasting teas, there's a fine line that we described in one of our other videos, fine line between bitter and astringent. Astringent's the quality that you want to look for, especially in black teas. It's that gives it that puckery effect that you're constantly looking for. The last tea that we're going to try, also in northern India, just like the Darjeeling, is Assam Gold. So Assam Gold, it's got lots of beautiful golden tips to it. So whenever you hear something referred to as a tippy tea, basically means that there's the early buds, the first few buds that come out of our Assam. We source a second flush Assam. It's bold, it's meaty, it's like drinking a Guinness, right? It's I wouldn't say that it'll put hair on your chest, but it definitely, if you're looking for a wake me up flavor profile, the Assam blends really well with other teas. It stands well on its own. And Assam is typically the base of a lot of breakfast teas, Irish breakfast, English breakfast, or organic breakfast. So looking at the color, you can see how rich that liqueur is. And Americans in general, I think, are more obsessed with the clarity of a tea, more so than other parts of the world. So you'll notice that this has a deep vibrancy to it. And as far as the taste profile, really well balanced. It does have lots of low undertones, lots of low notes to it. It's almost like a rich summer cherry. And again, that Guinnessy, biscuity type feel to it. So these are some of the feedback that we have on our different black teas. Hopefully it gives you guys a better idea of what to look for and some of the flavor notes and descriptions behind the different types of black teas. There's also some other amazing types of black teas out there, from Kenyans to other origins, but when it comes to teas, Art of Tea, we typically focus our tea sourcing on its origin being Asia. So hope you enjoyed our tasting today, and hope this just inspires you even more on your journey through tea. Thank you.